fucking thing sucks!
Där rasismen och antifeminismen hänger ihop.
Mi volt ez a pusztító alfáriság?
The bigger the government, the smaller the citizen.
Bullcrap.
This is one of the most important realizations about society you will ever have.
Yeah, right.
In fact, this understanding is the primary reason for America's unique success as both a free and affluent society.
No. The unique American success is due to its exceptionally good location. At the end of the 18th century, there were no superpowers in the area, and there were tons of free land to be taken that were only controlled by lowly developed nomadic tribesmen. And all those huge lands and excess resources made such a boom to the American economy that it became the #1 power in the world by the 20th century.
Everything gets smaller as the government gets bigger. Liberty gets smaller, individuality gets smaller, goodness gets smaller, and human character gets smaller. This is not a political point on behalf of a political party. It is simply an observable fact, and it's just common sense.
Yeah, right. This is not part of some conservative libertarian agenda. No. It's common sense, you guys. Come on. No, fuck you. You're an idiot.
Now, no one denies that government can and must do certain things. There's plenty for government to do. It's the government that must protect us from foreign attacks. That's why we have armed forces. It's the government that must protect us from criminals within our country. That's why we have police. Likewise, fire departments and courts are obviously necessary government institutions.
Oh, wait. Then your whole premise is already refuted. Because government-owned institutions like the army, or the police, or the fire department, or the justice department all grow the government. And did they make Americans less free? Of course not. Well, actually some of them did, but that's a separate issue.
And yes, when all else fails, private and religious-based charities, families, friends, then too the government must be there to provide a safety net of last resort. But it must always be of last resort.
It already is, you moron. Nobody wants to live on government welfare because it sucks.
When government is the first resort, the first place citizens look when they have a problem, bad things happen. As government grows, almost everything else begins to disappear. The first thing that goes when government gets bigger than it needs to be is goodness. Yes, goodness.
Oh, how poetic.
As the state gets bigger, people simply do less good for their fellow citizens. After all, why help others when the government will do it for you?
Well, yeah. If the government solves problems successfully, then there is no more need for individuals to solve it. You are basically saying that if you have less problems, you are less good.
This is the reason that, as noted by the international nonprofit organization Charities Aid Foundation and shown in study after study, Americans give more charity and volunteer more time to help others than do Europeans, not to mention just about everybody else in the world.
Because in Europe there is much less poverty. Of course you do less charity work if there is less charity work to be done. And charities have a very unique characteristic. You know what's that? They almost never work. They are not effective. They can't solve bigger issues. They can help them, but they can never solve them. You know what is actually effective? The government, that's right, the government.
From the beginning, Americans understood that government must be small, and therefore individuals must devote time and money to helping others, as well as non-governmental institutions of goodness. They have to be large and plentiful. Europeans, on the other hand, with their philosophy of big government, came to rely on the state to help their fellow citizens and even their own family members.
Oh, we Europeans are so evil. Our governments don't let people die on the street. They actually take care of them. Oh God!
The second thing that diminishes as the government grows is the character of many of its citizens. Just as taking care of others is a sign of moral character, so is taking care of oneself. Relying on others to take care of you when you are capable of taking care of yourself is just plain selfish and the very definition of irresponsible.
The people who can take care of themselves usually do. But if you work at McDonald's for next to nothing, then you can't take care of yourself. These people need some help. They just simply don't have enough money.
And it gets worse. The more people come to rely on the state to take care of them, the more they begin to develop a sense of entitlement. A sense of entitlement is the belief that you do not owe others, but that others, in this case the state and your fellow citizens whose money supports the state, owe you. A sense of entitlement creates two other bad character traits: ingratitude and resentment. The more people expect to be given, the less grateful they will be for what they are given. And they get resentful when any of those entitlements are taken away.
And why the fuck do you think that you are entitled to your police and fire department? I mean, it's the exact same thing. You won't put out that fire in your house from my tax dollars? Well, that ain't happening. Why don't you take care of yourself, you entitled little shit?
The third thing that bigger government diminishes is liberty. This should be obvious. The more government, the more rules, the less liberty.
This might sound something logical at first, but if you actually think about it, it's bullshit. Do we have less liberty because we have laws that say you can't murder anybody? Well, I don't think so. More rules don't necessarily mean less liberty. And in fact, some laws actually make you more free, like the laws that protect your freedom of speech, or laws that don't let government agencies like the NSA spy on you for no reason. Well, we actually don't have that, but we should, so, anyway.
In much of Europe, for example, governments tell store owners how many hours they can keep their own stores open. That's right. In France and Germany, for example, you can't keep your own store open past a certain hour. And you can't open your store before a certain hour.
Well, yeah, not every rule is a good idea. But nevertheless, this one has some rational thought behind it as well. It helps small business owners who can't afford enough staff to run their shops all day. But anyway, I don't like regulations like that either. But over time you can change these anyway, so who cares?
And in the United States, the Federal Register was 2,620 pages long in 1936. By 2012, it contained 78,961 pages of rules and regulations.
So what? It doesn't matter how much is it. What matters is what's in them.
There are, however, some things big government always does increase: corruption, fraud, and theft.
No, that's not true at all. For example, governments in Nordic countries, like Sweden and Denmark, who have famously big governments, are also the least corrupt in the entire world. Or at least among the least corrupt.
How could it not? Unless you think people are angels and that political power attracts angels, you know that a lot of people with almost unlimited power and with access to almost unlimited sums of money will abuse those powers.
No, because they would lose all their legitimacy. And in a truly democratic society, they can't afford to lose that.
So for all these reasons, small government was the vision of the people who founded the United States of America.
What? When? When did the Founding Fathers ever said that? And even if they did, the Founding Fathers believed in many different things. All of them had different ideas to a degree, but the whole thing doesn't even matter. Who the fuck cares what the Founding Fathers said? That was more than 200 years ago. The world has changed a lot. America has changed a lot. What might have been a good idea back then doesn't necessarily hold up today.
It is the major reason America has given more people more freedom and more opportunity to live a better life than any other country has.
And that's why Denmark is the happiest country on earth, and America is full of ghettos and trailer parks, and it's beginning to look like a third world country. Yeah, no, you're full of shit. You are just completely ridiculous. I was the Hungry Cube. Comment, share, likes, dislikes, subscribe, or whatever the fuck you want. Best wishes, and fuck off.